Today I'm going to do part one of a multi-part series about installing Korora, the Linux distribution, onto a MacBook Pro. The reason why I chose Carrora, and I've tried several distributions with a MacBook Pro, and most of them I had to use a boot manager called Refind. Here's the URL, and here's what it looks like when you boot up. And it worked fine. It just takes an incredibly long time for the machine to boot up and to even get to this screen. And of course, once you select it, it boots up normally, but you're adding, sometimes 2 or 3 minutes to your boot time. So I decided I wanted to try to find a distribution that would work within the Apple boot manager, and I found one. Actually, I found two. The first one being Fedora. Fedora was very nice, and it worked very well as far as booting to or installing directly onto the drive without using Refind. But once I got it installed, it took me about 3 hours to get the wireless to work. And I thought, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I started searching for distributions again, and I found Korora. And Korora is actually a remix of Fedora. It uses all the same repositories, everything, and then has a repositories of its own, and it adds a couple other applications and some third-party proprietary software and drivers, mostly drivers for NVIDIA and the Apple wireless drivers. So, and it adds an application called, let's see what it's called. It's right here on this page. Oh, that's FileLab. The FileLab device manager handles the drivers such as NVIDIA wireless. And I'll show you at the end, the last step, last part in this series will be how to get those drivers and how easy it is to actually do it. So let's get on with the step one. Step one is going to be, before we go any further, I wanted to show you that these are the available desktops and downloads available for Korora. 32 or 64-bit. You've got Cinnamon, GNOME, KDE, Mate, and XFCE. Now, in this series, I'm going to be doing a Cinnamon install only because that's what I felt like. I'm actually a big KDE fan, but I just decided to do something different, and I'll do a Cinnamon install with this video set. Here's what the download page looks like, and all you got to do is select which version, 64 or 32-bit, and then here you select your download, with which desktop you want, and whether you want to do it through a torrent or HTTP. Alright, step one. Step one is to reformat the drive. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be shrinking down this drive, which is it's a 500 gig drive, and for demonstration purposes we'll just shrink it down to a 50-50. So we'll do 250 gigs. Alright. Now you can use the tab and you can do it manually, and you can shrink it down. The blue area up here is actually what's being used on the drive. So you can, as long as you stay out of the blue, you can resize this to any size that you want. Or you can just type in what size you want. And there you go. Now, this becomes unallocated or undefined space here, and this is where we're going to be installing Korora once we boot to the drive. And that's all there is to it. Then you just click apply. Unfortunately, I can't continue the screen recording and resize the hard drive at the same time. Yeah, the operating system really doesn't like that, and it winds up crashing. So I'm going to stop the video for now, and I'll be back as soon as it's finished reformatting. Alright, I'm back. And disk utility has now safely shrunk down this particular partition to 250 gigs and left me 250 gigs of unallocated space. So now we can move on to or step 2 of part 1, and that is to create the flash drive, the live flash drive for Carrora's install. We'll close out of disk utility, and I've got 2 documents that I use here for this step there, and here's the ISO for the USB drive. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this document here. Now the cool thing about this document is it's got all the little terminal commands in it that are going to do this for me. And I keep this and I modify it depending on what image I'm using or the ISO that I'm using or distribution I'm going to be installing, so that I never get it wrong. I keep all the real important stuff straight. I don't have to retype it all out all the time. Now you'll notice that with this command, it uses HD utility to convert the ISO to a DMG. And the reason why we have to do that is the Mac operating system doesn't really understand the format of an ISO, basically. So what we do is we convert it to a DMG, which disk utility does understand. So here I've set the path. This is the path here to the ISO, and this is the path I've set to where I want to save the converted document to. Now you'll notice I don't have .dmg here. If I were to put .dmg here, it would say 64 cinnamon live .dmg. H utility understands what you're converting to. You're trying to convert to a DMG, so it just puts the .dmg at the end, the extension at the end automatically. So we don't have to put it here. Otherwise, it's redundant. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to open terminal, and I just copy and paste right into it. Now this step doesn't really take all that long, about a minute. When those dots get to the other side of the field, it'll be done. And you'll notice that it repathed and has now created this DMG that it's filling up right here on the desktop per this part of the command here. And you can actually name this anything you want. If you want to shorten it down to like Korora 64C, you can change the name to anything you like right here. Alright, so it's finished. The next step is disk utility list. Now we use this command to list every drive that is available. Oh, and I of course have not. Of course, I have not formatted a drive yet. So we're going to have some fun. And you're going to see this step too, which is awesome. Alright, so let's go ahead and close out of terminal for now. Oh, look, I've got a flash drive I used for Linux Mint, LMDE. Ah, look at that. Alright, so we're going to open disk utility, and we're just going to format it. Dun, 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 dun. Now, it doesn't seem to care Most distributions don't really care what I put in here, but just to be on the safe side, you know, you never know, since all this stuff is I formatted FAT and master boot record, only because I know most distributions use a master boot record like Windows does. Alright, so formatted. Yay! Alright, so we're going to run this command again. Okay, so that command, diskutil list, is going to show disk 0 is the hard drive and disk 1 as the untitled one. So that is going to be this number here. Here and here. Here, here, and here. Okay. Had this number been different, we would have changed this to that, whatever that number was. Alright, so first step, we want to unmount the disk. And we don't want to eject it, so we want to use a command line here. Copy, paste, enter, and you'll see that that flash drive disappeared. Alright, now the next one here, once I get it started, I'm going to have to stop the video and we'll pick up when it's done. Because it may take, well, 7 to 8 minutes, and who wants that much dead space on a YouTube video? Alright, it's started to copy and install the Cinnamon Live DMG live flash drive onto the flash drive. So I'm going to cut out right now and come back when it's finished, and we'll finish this up. And we're back. Here is it's finished. You can tell it's finished because you've got 1670 plus 1 records in, out, and bytes transferred, and comes back to the command prompt. And you'll also notice on the desktop you've got this renamed flash drive. And that's one of the nice things, and kind of clued me into the fact that Korora would work and was more compatible with the MacBook Pro than any other distributions I had found, is because it actually put the live CD or live flash drive on the desktop and had it named. Most distributions, when they finish this step, they don't ever remount when they're done. And in fact, disk utility brings up a window saying, we can't read this, do you want to initialize it? Well, no. But it also says that the system isn't really recognizing the live USB drive for a live USB drive, and is not as compatible as, of course, this. So it kind of clued me in that when I first tried this, or was looking at it and did the live USB drive, I was like, oh, this could be good. So in this case, I don't necessarily have to use this next one that ejects the disk, because it's obviously on the desktop and I can eject it through the GUI. But generally, with the ones that are you're not able to see these, you would just cut and paste or copy and paste this into terminal, and boom, it ejects the disks. So we are pretty much ready to boot to that flash drive. We've formatted and shrunk down the partition on the hard drive, and we've created the USB drive for installing. You're welcome to have frozen this or paused this video at any moment so that you can write down these terminal commands that I've got here on this text edit file. And we're done. Thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful. Questions and comments below if you'd like, and please subscribe. Thanks.